It's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Yeah, right. And here we go. You heard me say, yeah, right. That's Lola cracking jokes with me right before I come on the air. But we are here at 6 o'clock straight up, which means it is time, and it's Monday, right? Yeah, so it's time for Real Talk Memphis. Very glad to be here back in the air chair after a week. Hope you are doing well wherever you are, whoever you are. Yeah, just in. It's dark. It's 6 o'clock. It's dark, but it's been dark since what? About 5:15, 5:30, somewhere in that area. So that daylight savings time thing kicked in, and if you hadn't changed your clocks by now, well, there's really no hope because you've missed out on a whole lot of things today. But yeah, it's dark. So and it takes people a little time to get used to all of this. You know, in spring, we lose an hour, right? Sometime around, what is it, March, I think it is. And then we get an hour back this time of year. But for a lot of folks, it messes up your sleep pattern. Now, I don't know if that's if you all fall into that category or not, but for many people, it has happened. So very happy to have you here on this Monday. We hope we have a good show for you tonight because we always effort to do that. A program note. Carol Jackson, who was supposed to be here, she's the executive director of Families Matter. She called this afternoon, had an issue which is going to preclude her from being with us this evening, but we will reschedule her. In her place, we are going to be talking about a very serious issue that affects each and every one of us. There was a quote in the paper about the crime in our city, and they call it a crime crisis, and I believe that's a very apt term. But we're going to be speaking with a gentleman who is a medical physician. His name is Dr. Derek Kelly. He is a pediatric orthopedic surgeon working out of Campbell Clinic and the Bonner Children's Medical Care and Medical Center. And as many of you know, our young people are shooting each other at an alarming rate. Many of our young people have died from gunshot wounds. Well, he treats a lot of these gunshot victims, and he's going to talk about how it has impacted the medical community in a lot of ways, including people who are coming in to be treated for other illnesses and ailments that can't get the treatment that they need because doctors are so busy trying to repair gunshot victims, especially some of our young people. So I look forward to having that conversation with him in just a few minutes. A little bit later on, we are going to be speaking with Tiffani Perry. She is the External Relations Chief at Freedom Prep Academy. And Freedom Prep Academy is a school that just minds its own business and does its own thing. They are highly successful in this city. And Tiffany's going to join us. She is going to spread the word about the school's upcoming 15th anniversary, which is next year, celebrating 15 years of preparing Memphis students in grades pre-K through 12. And she's also going to talk about them opening up their first school in Birmingham, Alabama next year. So a lot to talk about, a lot of pride going on at Freedom Prep Academy. And a bit later on in the broadcast, we are going to hopefully be speaking with someone who many of you are familiar with. She is a broadcast icon in this city. Been at Action News 5 close to 30 years, if not 30 years. Kim Clark is going to be joining me in the second half hour. Of course, you see her every day on the Action News 5 at 4 p.m. And, of course, as I said, Kim has been around a long time, and we're going to talk about her career and the changing face of news gathering in 2023. So there you go. A good show on tap for you this evening. But as we always do this time of the broadcast, we celebrate you. If you have been fortunate enough to make another trip around the sun, this is the time that we celebrate you and your accomplishments. It's called the birthday shout out, and nobody does it better than we do, or at least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But we can't start doing that until I say, hit it, Brent. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Going out to the following: Deborah Bridges Cable celebrating today. Happy birthday, Marlon Montgomery. Happy birthday to Rogers Kimbrough, Deborah Weeks, and Tanya Staples Rogers. A short list this week, but nonetheless, you celebrated your birthday over the weekend, or today, or sometime this week. Congratulations to you. Wishing you nothing but the best from all of us here at Real Talk Memphis. And we hope to be around next year to celebrate your next trip around the sun. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. So, in news and notes, and generally we have breaking news that sort of changes things. And we did have some late this afternoon. County Clerk Wanda Halbert, we found out that the Poplar Plaza location of her office is closing, and they are closing Thursday, like 3 days from now, Thursday. Apparently, according to the CAO, Harold Collins, the rent has not been paid on the facility for the last several months, and that means that the folks who own the property are saying, time's up, you got to move, you got to close it so we can get somebody in here. So that's a big blow to many people, because that is a very centralized location at Poplar Plaza, and a lot of people use that to handle their business as well. But after Thursday, that will not be the case anymore. So I'm sure that there will be more details in reference to that. But that was a big surprise this afternoon. Absolutely that. And again, it will close. You have to, if you have business out there, you have another couple of days to do it there. And then, of course, that facility will be closed. We will keep an eye on that and keep you apprised of what is happening. So the 4 officers of the 5 who have been accused of the death of Tyree Nichols were in court this morning, and a court date for their trial has finally been assigned. They go to court on August 12th of next year. Tadarius Bean, Justin Smith, Demetrius Haley, and Emmett Martin are facing charges of second-degree murder, assault, official misconduct, and kidnapping. Again, this trial will take place next August. Also, last week, the other officer, the 5th officer, Desmond Mills, pled guilty in federal court to all charges he initially filed. He initially said he was pled not guilty. Well, he changed his plea to to guilty on 2 of the 4 charges against him in federal court. This is after accepting a plea deal for a recommended sentence of 15 years. Now, the 15 years, this is a state case and a federal case. This 15 years is going to combine both of those, according to the plea deal, in exchange for any information that he knows in reference to what his comrades did that particular night, in reference to Tyree Nichols. So very interesting there. Now, the 15 years is a recommendation, but it has to be finally approved by the judge, and that won't happen until sometime around August of next year as well. So we say welcome to our good friends from the Church of God in Christ. Tomorrow is the beginning of the 115th Holy Convocation, right here where it all started in Memphis, Tennessee. The saints are here. Many of them are here, and thousands of them are here from all across the country for the next 7 days. It starts tomorrow, the 7th, and it goes through the 14th. So again, let us show them our best side. Okay, this is a chance for Memphis to shine as a showcase. So let us pray that they have a good time while they're here. There are no incidents while they are here, and that they can come and enjoy fellowship and their convocation safely with no incidents or anything else that is happening in our city. Big doings at the FedEx Forum tonight. College basketball season officially starts. The Memphis Tigers are playing their first game of the season tonight right here at the FedEx Forum against Jackson State University. And that is their first game. And, of course, Coach Penny Hardaway has been suspended for the first 3 games of the season, including tonight. But he will be back soon. There were some NCAA violations that he's got to pay penance for in reference to that. And the Downtown Restaurant Week begins today. 50-plus restaurants and other places are going to be offering you discounts just in time for COVID to come in town. How about that, right? Discounts, and also for those of you who live here or anybody else, $1 parking from like 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. So that's not bad either, to tell you the truth. So go out if you, are so inclined. Lola's a social butterfly. She likes to go
down there and have to pay $400 to get your window fixed.
See, that's just wrong. See, we gonna shoot that frou out of there. We're not gonna do anyway. We talk about any kind of issues, but anyway, the restaurant week starts today and it goes through the week. And the Memphis Grizzlies won their first basketball game of the year last night. How about that? So they're 1 up and 6 down, but you got to start from somewhere, right? Right. That takes a look at the news and notes on this Monday evening. We're going to take our first break of the evening, and when we come back, we're going to get into some good conversation with some great guests. What do you say? Right here on this edition of Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. You know who you are. Quick break. Right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Do you want to help bring Raised by Soundfest to life? Join us on December 2nd to make music, memories, and a difference. Sign up to volunteer for Raised by Soundfest today and help us make it happen. More info at volunteer.wyxr.org.
WYXR's biggest annual event is back. Raised by Soundfest is Saturday, December 2nd at Crosstown Concourse, sponsored by Mempho Presents. Free live music all day long featuring Bass Drum of Death, AJ Haynes, Rod Smoth, Rosie, Madam Frankie, and the U of M Blue Tom Review. Capped off with 2 fundraising events. Cat Power sings Dylan, the 1966 Royal Albert Hall concert at Crosstown Theater, and the DJ After Party with Alex Brown at Crosstown Arts Green Room. Get details about the fest and tickets to fundraising events at raisedbysoundfest.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
It's real talk. 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 It's real talk.
Hey, welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip with you. And our first guest tonight is kind of on the front lines of what we deal with every day in terms of the violence in our city. It's a crime crisis here in Memphis, and we all know that. But one group of people that we don't really hear from in reference to this, who deal with it on almost a daily basis, are our medical community. And I'm very pleased to have with us this evening Dr. Derek Kelly. He is a pediatric orthopedic surgeon. He works out of Campbell Clinic and Le Bonheur Children's Hospital. And Dr. Kelly, it is great to see you, and thank you for coming on Real Talk tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
So you deal with the younger generation, and of course we know that a lot of the victims that you see are younger individuals, and of course they come to your operating room and things like that. You have to operate on these folks. From your perspective, as an orthopedic surgeon, just how bad is the problem in reference to our young people getting shot and wounded in our city?
Yes, sir. I think this is gaining a lot more attention, and it should because it affects our kids and all of our communities around the country. But I think one of the reasons this is moving to the forefront and becoming a topic of interest is the recent CDC report that listed gunshot injuries as the number one cause of death in children in the United States for the third year running, beating out cancer and car accidents. So it's really raising a lot of eyebrows as to how do we stop our kids from being injured and killed by firearms.
That's very, very interesting. And when you relate a statistic like that, it has to stop people in their tracks. I mean, we see it every day around here in one form or fashion or the other. You obviously see situations like that. And there's also something attached to this on the back end. You're so busy, and I've talked to physicians before about this, treating so many gunshot victims that come into your ER that there are other patients who have other illnesses who are being neglected, at a particular point in time as well. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Well, we are fortunate to live in the community of Memphis where we have a strong health system. And of course, from COVID and beyond, all of our healthcare systems are under significant strain. However, I can tell you that at least where I work, in the healthcare facilities where I work, Regional 1, Baptist and Le Bonheur and Campbell Clinic, we get them all taken care of. But these injuries that don't need to occur, they're so labor intensive, they're so resource intensive when these kids get shot that it does put a big strain on the system.
Blood has always been an issue. The blood shortage, the blood supply here in Memphis has always been a challenge and an issue for the medical community. Does what you see on a daily basis out here put even an additional strain on that because of the resources being pulled maybe from one side to another?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is a huge concern in our city. From the two level one trauma centers at Regional 1 and Le Bonheur, as well as St. Jude. We have a huge demand for blood products. People are always asking me because they know that this is a topic of interest of mine. What can they do to help? And there's so many things that each individual can do. Mm-hmm. But if you can donate blood, if you're allowed to donate blood, please do so as frequently as you can. We certainly cannot have enough in our local community.
Yeah, this is indeed, adding to an already difficult and challenging problem. And you mentioned at the top about this getting this whole issue of juvenile violence becoming a greater issue, not only here but nationally as well. I'm sorry, my mic was kind of going in and out. But and you mentioned that, and that really is because of the report that you just cited, that this is becoming the number one killer of young people. And as a physician, and I don't know if you're married or have children or not, but as a physician, when you think about that on the whole, and of course you deal with this on a daily basis, I mean, how does it make you feel? I mean, what do you think when you hear and you see things happen like this far too regularly?
Yeah, so I mean, you brought it up. I am a father, and so I think about my own children all the time when I see this. And one of my main motivating factors to get involved in this particular issue and try to raise awareness is my own children. I don't want them to be a victim of any of this violence. I educate them constantly on guns and to be aware of their surroundings and understand what to do when they come across a firearm, because it's so prevalent in our community. It's a shame that our children have to go through active shooter training and survival awareness training and how to behave and react around guns because it is so common. It is a huge challenge. I'm working with a number of research organizations as well as in Memphis at Le Bonheur Children's Hospital, looking at our last decade's worth of data on pediatric gun violence, and our numbers are just going straight up. They mirror the national trend. We are certainly a part of that.
That is that's frightening, actually to hear about that and to see that and to talk about that. Of course, we've had more than one conversation on this show about the accessibility to weapons, the easy accessibility to weapons. It's so easy to get a handgun in this town. And would you like, I mean, as a physician, we've tried to lean on the legislature every time we have a shooting incident that involves young people or period. We try to appeal to them to change the laws, to make it more difficult. I've had people to tell me that at this pace, there are more guns in this country than there are people in this country. And to me, that's one that basically stops me in my tracks. But I'm sure that this has been something that you have been wanting to see legislatively changed as well, instead of trying to prohibit people from gaining access to guns so easily, to try to restrict them as much as possible, correct?
Well, yes, of course. And as you pointed out, I'm a healthcare provider. I'm a surgeon. I'm not a policymaker. I'm not a legislator. I'm not a law enforcement official. So some of the decisions about this are out of my control. But what is within my control is to look at the data that we have and try to raise awareness. And over the last decade, I can tell you and your audience, your listeners, what we have seen. And the biggest rise is in assaults. It's in the use of handguns, and it's in our adolescent and just below that preteen age groups. So if we want to be most aggressive and if we want to make the biggest impact, it's handguns used for accidents or assaults. Now, there are still shotgun injuries, there are still hunting rifles, there are suicides, but the biggest impact we can have is on getting these handguns out of these positions where they can be used in assaults and accidents. And probably the best thing that any of us can do who own a gun is to keep it unloaded and safely stored. Mm-hmm. If there's a loaded gun that a child has access to, it is much more likely to be used in an accident or an assault.
It's staggering, and I'm sure, and I've talked to some of your colleagues working at some of the other facilities in town, and it just I've had a couple of them to tell me that it's just heartbreaking when you see a young innocent child who unfortunately was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and winds up, coming to see you in the surgery room to hopefully to get repaired. But it's very heartbreaking to see what is happening to this generation. I mean, it seems to me as if we're almost losing a generation because of so much of the violence that we see on a daily basis. And you alluded to it earlier. I mean, this is more people are dying. More young people are dying. This is the number one cause of death of young people in this entire country, surpassing some of the diseases that you mentioned. And when you just think about that on the whole, and you talk to some of your colleagues about it, it really does become heartbreaking, does it not?
Well, yes. I mean, it does. The trouble now is that it is so commonplace for us. I mean, we take care of dozens of these every month. It's to the point where it just becomes part of your job, and it shouldn't just be part of your job. These children should not have bullets inside their body. We looked at all of our data, including coroner data, for the last decade, and of all the children that get shot, 5% don't survive the incident. So you think 5%, that's a pretty small number, but we have well over 1,100 patients in the last decade, or 1,100 children who've been shot in the last decade. We're losing dozens of kids to gun violence and death, not to mention the change in their life, the amount of cost on the healthcare community and society to take care of these injuries and these children. It's just a very large and growing problem.
It's a trickle-down effect, to be sure. Dr. Derek Kelly, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show tonight and really breaking this down into its lowest common denominator. The bottom line is that we have problems. We have very serious problems here, especially with guns and our young people. And thank you for doing what you do on a daily basis to try to save as many lives as you can. Dr. Derek Kelly, pediatric orthopedic surgeon, working out of Campbell Clinic and Labana Children's Hospital and so many other places. Thank you for coming on the show tonight and really breaking it down for us. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for bringing some awareness to this topic.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There you go, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Derek Kelly. It's heartbreaking and it is staggering to understand what we are dealing with on a daily basis. It's not just the stories that you see on the news, where parents and family members or friends, are mourning the loss of yet another young person. Friday night downtown, not too far from down here on Main Street, an 18-year-old person, a young person, was shot in the chest. He's in the hospital in critical condition right now. Day before that, a 17-year-old was shot Friday afternoon at the Sonic restaurant here in town as well. He's dead. We're losing an entire generation. We truly are. And unless something dramatically changes, or unless people realize that, we need to stop talking about this and start doing something about this, we will continually have this problem. And we thank God for surgeons like Dr. Derek Kelly who are ringing the bell and bringing notice to what we are dealing with. And this is an epidemic, ladies and gentlemen. And if we don't continue to try to control it, we're not going to have another generation, a younger generation, to take over. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we are going to continue our conversation on this Monday edition of Real Talk Memphis. I'm Chip. Very glad to have you with us on this evening. We'll take one quick break and we'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Huey's is proud to support WYXR. Established in 1970 with 10 locations, Huey's menu includes burgers, sandwiches, and more. More information at hueyburger.com. On November 17th, Minglewood Hall will host indie folk band The Head and the Heart. The night will begin with an opening set by indie pop artist Yoke Lore. More information regarding tickets can be found at minglewoodhall.com. Support for WYXR comes from Culver Accounting, full-service audit, tax, accounting, and consulting firm serving the Mid-South. More information at culvercpa.com.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
It's real talk. 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 It's real talk.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this beautiful Monday evening in the city. And Chip here, very glad to have you all along for the ride. Now, my next guest is, I would say she's a broadcast icon in our community. She and I were former colleagues back in the day at the WMC TV Action News 5. She is one of the best reporters and anchors I think I've ever seen on television. And we're going to talk a little bit about her career and where things are today. Please welcome to the show, Kim Clark. And Kim, as I said during the break, it is great to see you, my friend. How are you?
Doing great. It's so good to see you too, Chip.
Absolutely. Now, Kim, for the record, in terms of your longevity with Memphis viewers, has it been 30 years yet?
35 years.
Are you serious? 35 years.
Serious. 35 years.
In local
35 years, June 20th.
Wow, that's a legacy, my friend. You know, you're becoming legendary now. When you go over 3 decades, I gotta put that label on you.
I've been here since dirt.
Well, she says since dirt. Well, listen, you have been there, you have seen it all, and all of your professional career has been at Action News 5, correct?
No, actually,
Or no?
I started off in Macon, Georgia,
Okay.
at station Fun 41, we used to call it, a WMG TV, and then I moved to Augusta. I was there for a little bit, and then I came here.
Wow, wow. Well, it's been quite a journey, and I would ask you. I see you. You're kind of an ageless wonder. Every time I watch you, and I say to myself, nobody ages. I mean, she doesn't age either. Like Joe, and then you, and then no. I mean, seriously, you've been doing it for 35 years. So, Kim, from the time you started in the news business, and we all know how legendary WMC TV is to all of us here in this community, you've seen the ever-changing face of news. Not only how we gather news and how we broadcast news today, it really has changed quite a bit. But as you look back on your career, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen in the news business, in the news gathering business, and how you do what you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, well, one of the most interesting things to me is when I first started out, I was what we called one-man bands then.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I shot my own video and all that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going back to that now. We have a lot of now they call them multimedia journalists.
Yeah.
And I think it's because, well, the reason why it was that way when I started is because it was a small market and they didn't have a lot of people. But now I think the reason why you're seeing it more is because of cost. I mean, there's such a small pieces of pie now to share among so many different TV stations,
sure.
channels.
Mm-hmm.
So the crews are smaller, the staff is smaller and younger too, much younger, and especially in Memphis.
Yeah, that's how I came in. When I came in to Channel 5, I came in as the one-man band, as you like to say, and thank God that the cameras were smaller and a bit lighter back then, because
I had the big old Ikigami when I started.
Yeah, I did too.
It was a big. Yeah, and the battery probably weighed it probably weighed more than a camera does now.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and then I had the deck too.
Yeah.
Then I had to put the tape in and push the play.
I'm getting chills just thinking about them days. My back is starting to hurt, Kim. Just going, oh, God. But you're right. I think that one of the biggest things that you see today is that has affected news is economics, and because I mean they're bringing in a lot of younger folks getting their first. Now when you first started out, it was in a small market and things like this, and now you have a lot of people coming to Memphis, to get to learn what they need to learn,
right.
And then they move on. Is it still as big a transient business? That's the phrase I like to use. I mean, they come for a pit stop and they get some stuff on tape and they move on. Is that still prevalent?
Well, yeah. What's funny is when I first came to Channel 5, people would stay at Channel 5 for life, but it has changed. Now people, maybe 2 years, 3, 4 years, maybe 5, but a lot of people are moving on to bigger and better things because it's easier. I think because of the way the business is now, it's easier for people to move. Like when I first came here, you had to have 5 years experience.
Yes.
Or have been at 2 other stations at least,
Wow.
Now that's not the case. So people are, and that's why we're hiring younger people too, because people who have experience are going to the big markets now. They don't have to work in smaller markets.
Sure.
I just chose to stay here in Memphis because I liked it and I like the city, but
Well, listen, folks surely love you. Now, speaking of the younger folks, and I remember I had Joe on the show here, and I asked him, about this. Look, no one can tell you, or Joe, or any of the veterans who've been around there for such a long time, how this business is supposed to work. So when young folks come in, you all play the role of mentors because you've been there, you've done that, and you've experienced everything. So what types of things when the young folks come to you and say, Kim, when they're writing a story or trying to produce a story, trying to put something together or this or that, what kind of things do they ask you? And more importantly, what kind of things do you tell them about the ever-changing face of news today?
Well, I have to say, quite honestly, I'm trying to think of it. Mainly, it's just they want to know what, should I ask this? Should I ask that?
Right.
quite honestly, a lot of the kids, you have to be so careful today because when I came along, you didn't get a lot of kid glove handling.
Yeah. I know those days too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But nowadays, the kids are a little bit more sensitive and come in wanting work-life balance. It was just something I didn't know. I didn't figure it out until not too long ago. So we can't approach them the same way we did when I was first coming up. You got to be a little bit more gentle and give them more nuanced guiding hand and generic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, Kim, I didn't mean to cut you. You mentioned though the longevity factor, and Channel 5. I mean, for people just, I mean, when you got there, you stayed there. I remember the first day I walked in that station, I was like, this is a legendary place. And I don't know how you felt, but I mean, I just was like, I was a bit in awe because of the people that were working there. You right. and Joe and Jarvis and Dave and just so many people who have grown up watching on television and you're still there. But they seem to put forth a culture of not only learning, but there is a credibility and there's a standard, I think, that WMC has. Yes. Am I right about talk about that a little bit?
I think so too. I think so. I mean, we tend to. I mean, some people say we're stodgy, stuck in the mud. But what we're having to balance nowadays is because people want more information about. The crime is so bad now. People want to know everything that's going on when it's happening in their neighborhood. But Channel 5 has always been the type of station that was very careful about how we presented stories and what information we released. Unless it was verified by 2 or more sources, we don't release it.
Sure.
And we're still trying to do that, but we're trying to be more nimble and more quick about at least alerting people. Now it's not just what's on TV, it's what's online as well. And the little alerts you get on your phone. This little thing here is,
yes.
A lot of people get their news.
That's where they get their news. Exactly.
Yeah. From YouTube and all of that. So that's what we're competing against. So we've got to keep up. And citizen journalists too,
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned that, Kim, and the advent of technology. And as you said, people get their news from smartphones. I mean, we're going. And but that also requires more work, from the producers and you all. Now you have a digital desk that you didn't have back in the day. So there's really a lot more that goes into it to further your point, as you said, to keep up with the demanding times that are changing, correct?
Definitely. I mean, we didn't have a web team when I first came here. We didn't even know what a web team was. There was no such thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But now we have we have a pretty sizable web team. We may even have a larger web team than. No, I wouldn't say we have more web people than reporters, but we have a big web team,
right? Because
it's important,
right?
That's we have news now on YouTube. We have things on Instagram.
Yeah,
we have things on, like you said, the digital desk.
Yeah,
we have different Action News 5 Plus. We have stations on road. I mean, it's just there's a lot more ground we have to cover now, and make sure that we're putting our information out on so many different platforms now as opposed to just TV. That's probably one of the biggest changes that I see. And I think that's going to continue.
Yeah, probably so. I'm going to ask you a question that only a few of us, because I consider myself old these days as well, but I mean, I'm just talking about me. But do you remember a time when television actually had an off switch?
Yeah. Remember, you'd be up at midnight and the Star Spangled Banner would start playing.
Exactly, and then
right. Off with the TV.
That's exactly right. Yeah. I mean,
now it's 24 hours.
It's 24 hours, 7 days a week. It never stops.
Yep.
Well, I commend you for being able to keep up with the times, because they are changing, especially for veteran news. Now, Kim, I do know this about you. I very rarely, if ever, see you do interviews like this. I mean, we see you on TV every day doing your thing, doing the news, but you don't do many interviews like this, do you?
Well, it's kind of.
Or have you cut down?
I've done a few now and then, but it's kind of disconcerting for me because I'm used to asking the questions.
Yes,
and having it flipped on you. It's kind of uncomfortable, Chip.
Yeah, well, I hope I'm making it comfortable.
I try and do interviews when every now and then.
Yeah. Well, I hope I make it comfortable for you. We go back a long way. I appreciate it. Well, Kim Clark, it's always great to see you, my friend. I was really excited when you said, "Yeah, come on, just make sure I know we know when I need to be there," and we try to make that happen for you. Kim Clark, anchor, Action News 5, WMC TV. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and continue to do what you do and what you seem like you love to do for as long as you want to do it.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you for having me on your show too.
Absolutely, that. You take care of yourself. We'll talk to you down the road.
You too.
Ladies and gentlemen, yes, sir. Thank you, Kim. Kim Clark, boy, I tell you, she has 35 years. 35 years. When they, when they call WMC TV5 legendary, that is an example of what is legendary about WMC TV Action News 5. And we thank Kim for being on the show. One final break. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears and talk a little bit about education and one of the best kept secrets here in Memphis. This is Real Talk Memphis. I am Chip. You know who you are. We'll be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Hi, this is Anita Ward, here to tell you a bit about my alma mater, Rusk College, which supports the music of the Mid-South through its partnerships with WYXR. I've been known for singing since my days on campus, and I continue to sing Rusk College's praises. Did you know Rusk College offers 23 plus majors? 2 new ones will be implemented this fall: forensic science and religious studies. For more information on admissions, enrollment, and activities, visit ruskcollege.edu.
University of Memphis Department of Theater and Dance presents their Fall Faculty Dance Concert, Chroma, a compilation of choreographed works by University of Memphis dance faculty and guest artists, turning an intensified lens on the varying colors of life and every season we encounter. Chroma runs November 16th through the 18th at 7:30 p.m. in the Edward and Bernice Humphreys Theater Building on Central Avenue. More information can be found at memphis.edu/theater.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk Memphis on this Monday evening. Chip Washington here with you. And, we talked earlier and we talked during, just before this segment that there are some wonderful schools here in Memphis and Shelby County. There are absolutely no doubt about that. But there is one, and, we've never really done anything about it, but they are doing big things academically in our community. So we are very happy to have with us this evening the Chief of External Relations for Freedom Prep Academy. Her name is Tiffani Perry, and she joins us now. Tiffani, it's great to see you. Thank you again for coming on Real Talk Memphis. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Of course, our CEO, Ms. Robin Webb, is traveling, so she sends her regards.
Absolutely that.
But I am
Absolutely.
happy to be here to talk with you tonight.
Well, absolutely. We're so happy to have you. And of course, your school has a big anniversary coming up, 15 years next year. Freedom Prep Academy has been preparing students, as you like to say, in grades pre-K through 12 to excel in college and in life. I will ask you a very simple question, and I don't know if it has a simple answer, but what makes Freedom Prep Academy so special, and why is it that your students excel so much at that school?
Well, that is a loaded question.
Yes,
so
it is.
Let me just start at the very beginning. Freedom Prep, of course, was founded in 2009 by our CEO, Ms. Robin Webb. And I think it really was started. I know. It really was started because Ms. Webb is a former education attorney who quickly realized that the modern day civil rights movement really lies with us being able to provide a quality education for children, specifically children of color. And so she set out on this mission to create this school where she and other innovative educators had the autonomy to really make decisions academically for children that best really suited their needs and how they like to learn. And so she started this school with, a class of maybe 100 sixth graders and 10 employees. And over the years, it has grown now to a total of 5 schools. And we service around 2,000 students now, all in the Westwood and Whitehaven community. And so we have 2 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school. And currently, both of our middle schools are the only middle schools in the Westwood and Whitehaven community that are considered a level 5. And so level 5 is the highest distinction that you can receive as far as Tennessee value added assessment scores. Meaning that we are showing significant academic growth in our students based on the teaching methods and the innovation being used in our schools to educate our babies.
I was going to say that's extraordinarily impressive. And with the ever-changing face of academics these days, how do you keep it on a level that is interesting to these young people and, more importantly, challenging, at best, because, they're going to be our future leaders one day, so you have to challenge their minds as well. How do you do that at Freedom Prep?
I think that's a great question. So with us having 5 schools, one of the beautiful things that I see that our school leaders and our heads of schools are great at is really building synergy across grade bands, right? And so when kids come to us early on and they stay with Freedom Prep, we have the opportunity to really monitor those students to understand what their needs are, so that as they matriculate through the Freedom Prep network from lower school to middle school to high school, we're able to really understand those students, understand their needs, and be able to cater directly to providing the services, the rigor, the curriculum, the supports that they need to excel. Freedom Prep, we offer social workers on each of our campus to be able to help not only our students and families with addressing barriers to education, but our social workers also help, our teachers deal with, the stress that comes with everyday, teaching to keep them in a better mood. Because if you don't have strong teachers, you don't have people in your classroom who can make this type of an impact with our young people. And so we really try to focus on holistically developing children and not just the curriculum.
How unusual is that? I don't know that I have heard. Well, I guess that I have heard in the past that there are social workers at some of these schools, but is that something that is becoming more common, do you think, or is it still relatively uncommon, depending on where you are?
It's still relatively uncommon. I know in some districts, even some of the districts around here, social workers are shared amongst schools.
Right.
And really since COVID, there is a need, even before COVID, right? But really since COVID, I think there's a heightened need to have social workers available. In some cases, you schools that are sharing social workers where they may have 10, 11, 12 schools assigned to them. So it may be a little bit of a wait or a delay before students can, receive services, but that's not the case at Freedom Prep.
You mentioned something that affected all of us, and I'm sure you will, you all as well. COVID. COVID changed the face of everything that we knew was normal before 2020. How have coming back to a more normalized system and structure? How has that adjustment been for kids who were probably out of school, doing things differently academically versus coming back to a more normalized environment?
Yeah, and Chip, we don't talk about it enough, I don't think, but we saw huge declines in student academic growth. That first year coming back from COVID.
Sure.
I myself, am a mother as well. And even I noticed just some of the kids were, after you've been home for almost a whole year, you're disengaged, there's social issues that come with you now being back in the classroom.
Sure.
And so we saw some of those things early on, but I really do believe this year we're starting to really stabilize and get back to normal. I really think that started to happen last year, which is clear as a result of our new TVOS scores and that we're a level 5. But I think this year we're really starting to see things stabilize a lot more from the impact of COVID. We saw enrollment declines. Memphis is already a very transient community.
Sure.
Students move around a lot. So we're just seeing things kind of stabilize now, which is great, from a student growth perspective, because the longer they stay with us, the more academic growth we see in them.
One of the things that I would be remiss if I didn't mention is the fact that Ms. Webb and you all are planning to open up another school, this one in Birmingham, Alabama, next year in 2024. How did that come about?
Well, for Freedom Prep, our mission, again, is to ensure that, we're preparing students in pre-K and 12 for college and in life. And our vision is to really transform education for students of color across the South. And so this is really a part of CEO Webb's vision for Freedom Prep. I think it is a wonderful testament to the hard work that Freedom Prep has put in and really dedicated their, the work to students and the lives of improving students academically, that this is happening during the 15th anniversary of us successfully serving students in Memphis. And so, even looking at the history of the civil rights movement in Birmingham, it's so significant as it is here in Memphis that it was a natural next place for us to launch a school. And so we will be opening in August of 2024 with kindergarten and first graders. And then we plan to add a grade a year thereafter.
That is quite a challenging agenda. Do you find that based on what CEO Webb has done in setting all of this up and the success rate of the high success rate of this school, would you consider you all a template for academics these days and really how it should be done, particularly since Tiffani, you said you all start from when they're babies all the way up through high school and going into college. Talk about that a little bit.
I absolutely would consider, CEO Webb likes to joke all the time. She calls herself a dinosaur in this game, but I refer to her as an OG in this game because she's been doing this work successfully. She clearly set a vision 15 years ago for where she wanted this school to be and the impact that she wanted it to have with young people. And, the great thing is that to me, she didn't just talk about it. She actually walked the walk, talked the talk. That is who she is. And that's clear with the support that she has going into Birmingham next year. We are super excited to welcome those families as a part of the Eagle family. And we're definitely, a school to watch. She has reformed her leadership team. We are a all-female executive team.
Look out now. Look out. Yeah. All right.
Yes,
all
we
right.
are a powerful group of little women, I like to say.
Okay. All right.
And so we have all sorts of experience in charter schools, in public schools, a group of fabulous educators. So shout out to the rest of my executive team as well, because they are a phenomenal group of women that is prepared to take Freedom Prep into the next 15 years.
Sounds like an absolutely amazing collaboration of great minds from all of you. Tiffani Perry, Chief of External Relations for Freedom Prep Academy. Thanks for coming on the show. This has been enlightening for me, and I'm really proud of all of your work. And you tell CEO Webb that I said hello, and I look forward to talking with her down the road. And continued success in all that you do to educate our young minds. We surely need it.
And thank you so much, Chip. And please, work with us. Remind your families that applications open on December 1st. So if you have a future Eagle, look out on our website, freedomprep.org. Applications open for next school year.
December 1st. December 1st.
December 1st,
okay.
Yes. And we're currently hiring educators as well. So, check our website out. We're looking for bright talent. You do not have to, wait until the spring to start looking. Look now, engage with us. Right. We love to grow our family, either if it's staff, faculty, or students.
Tiffani, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time. And I'm sure we'll be talking down the road. And you all,
absolutely.
Best of luck to you. Take care.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you end the broadcast right there. We're talking about education, bright minds, futures, leaders, and the folks over at Freedom Prep Academy, CEO Webb and her fine staff over there are doing a wonderful job, and we appreciate them taking the time to explain that to us as well. And again, if you're interested, look, December 1st, right? Go to the website, check out their website, and if you're interested, if you have a student you may want to look into getting over there, or you're a teacher or a faculty member, you might want to check that out. That's a good opportunity. This has been a great show tonight. I really appreciate all my guests for being here. Again, before I get out of here, I just want to say we have thousands of visitors in our city. Thousands, literally thousands of people have come here for the 115th Holy Kojic Convocation, which formally begins tomorrow. Look, in spite of our challenges in our city, in spite of the problems that we see, in spite of the crime issues, let us put our best foot forward here. We have visitors coming into our city who come each and every year, and they're praying for us. We're praying for them. And we all need to pray for each other in situations like this. So put our best foot forward, and let's put the foolishness on pause. We see more than enough of that out here, not only in our city but all over the country. So let's just put that on pause for right now. And who knows? Maybe if we put it on pause long enough, it may become a new tradition in our city. So as Brent plays us out, thank you for checking us out. Really appreciate you. If you missed any part of the broadcast tonight, we're a podcast, and we will post the show tomorrow. And I think I forgot to mention that at the top of the show about how to get us. But in any event, you can check out a rebroadcast of the show on my page, on my personal Facebook page, and we are a podcast. So tomorrow afternoon, the show will be posted. You can pick us up wherever you get your podcast, and of course, we're on YouTube as well. So for my wonderful Can't Do Without crew, for Bryn, for Nicole, and for Lola, I am Chip. I want you to have a wonderful week. I want you to have a safe week. Let's look out for each other, because we're what matters the most. And until next time, we are out. See ya.